Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Brain.
And I'm Anna. Thanks for joining us again. Today we're going on a little trip, no passport needed.
That's right. In this episode, we're talking all about how to speak English at the airport. Whether you're traveling for the first time or just want to sound more confident when you fly, this episode is packed with practical phrases and real-life conversations.
Airports can be stressful even for native English speakers. There are so many steps: check-in, security, boarding, and each one has its own set of words and expressions. But don't worry, we're here to help you feel prepared.
We're going to walk you through the entire airport journey from the moment you get into a taxi, all the way to landing in a new country. You'll hear real conversations, learn useful phrases, and even take part in a fun quiz.
So if you've ever thought, what do I say at the check-in desk? Or how do I ask where my gate is? This episode is for you.
Grab your imaginary suitcase, get your boarding pass ready, and let's fly into today's lesson. Are you ready, Anna?
Ready for takeoff, let's go! All right, Brain, let's start at the very beginning. You wake up, your bags are packed, and it's time to head to the airport.
Exactly. And most people take a taxi or book a rideshare like Uber or Lyft. So let's talk about what you can say when you're getting into the car and speaking with the driver.
Let's start with a simple phrase. Hi, I'm going to the airport, please. It's polite and clear.
And if you want to be specific, you can say, "Can you take me to Terminal 2 at America International Airport?"
Right. Many big airports have different terminals, so saying the terminal number helps the driver know exactly where to drop you off.
Here's a quick role play. I'll be the driver, and you be the passenger.
Hi there. Could you take me to ATL International Airport Terminal 1, please?
Sure thing. Do you have a preferred route, or should I take the fastest one? The fastest one is great. I have a flight in 2 hours. All right, sit back and relax.
Easy and natural, right? You don't need to say a lot. Just be clear and polite.
Now, let's talk about a few useful phrases you might hear from the driver. Do you have a flight today? Which terminal are you flying from? Is it international or domestic?
If you're not sure, you can say, I'm not sure which terminal. Can you check for Qatar Airways? That's a great way to ask for help politely.
Also, you might want to check the time or the traffic. So here are some helpful questions. How long will it take to get to the airport? Is traffic heavy today?
And here's one more great phrase. Can we stop for a minute? I forgot something.
Ha ha ha! Let's hope that doesn't happen on travel day. But it's a real-life phrase that's good to know.
Let's quickly recap some phrases. Hi, I'm going to the airport, please. Can you take me to Terminal 2? How long will it take to get there? Is traffic heavy right now? I'm flying with Emirates. Can we stop for a minute?
Simple, useful, and practical. Try practicing these with a friend or even alone out loud.
All right, now that we've arrived at the airport, it's time for check-in. Let's see how to talk with the airline staff.
Let's do it! Okay, we've just arrived at the airport. What's the first thing most travelers do?
Head straight to the check-in counter. This is where you give your passport, check your luggage, and get your boarding pass.
Exactly. It's an important step, and it usually happens fast, so knowing the right English phrases can really help.
Let's walk through a real example. I'll play the passenger and you be the airline staff. Hi, good morning. I'd like to check in for my flight to London.
Good morning. May I see your passport and ticket, please?
Sure, here you go.
Thank you. Are you checking any bags today?
Yes, just one suitcase.
All right, please place it on the scale. Oh, this bag is a little over the weight limit. You'll need to pay an extra fee.
Oh, I see. No problem. Can I pay by card?
Yes, that's fine. Here's your boarding pass. Your flight boards at gate 12 and boarding starts at 9:20 a.m.
Great, thank you.
Have a safe flight.
That's a very typical check-in conversation. Let's break down some useful vocabulary from that example.
Here are a few key words you'll hear at the check-in counter. Check in. This means registering for your flight. Boarding pass. The paper or digital pass that lets you onto the plane. Luggage baggage. The bags you bring. Overweight if your bag is too heavy. Gate where you go to board the plane.
And some important phrases to practice. I'd like to check in for my flight. Here is my passport and ticket. I have one bag to check. Can I pay by card? What time does boarding start?
Here's something many learners get wrong. They say, I want to check my bag, but forget to say where or how many. Try saying, I have 2 bags to check, or I'm not checking any bags. Just hand luggage.
Also, be careful with the word luggage, it's uncountable. So don't say 2 luggages. You say 2 bags or 2 pieces of luggage.
Good point. And one more tip. Be polite and smile. It always helps, especially at airports where staff are busy and stressed.
Here's a bonus expression you can use if you're nervous or new to traveling. It's my first time flying. Could you help me, please? It shows honesty, and most staff will be kind and helpful.
That's a great one. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be clear and respectful.
So, here's your mini checklist when checking in. 1. Greet the staff. Hi, good morning. 2. Say your flight destination, I'm flying to Istanbul. 3. Show your documents. Here is my passport. 4. Mention your baggage. I'm checking 1 bag. 5. Ask questions if needed. What time is boarding?
Nice. Now that we've got our boarding pass, it's time to face the next big part of airport English security check and immigration.
Yikes. But don't worry. We'll guide you through it smoothly.
All right, we've checked in, got our boarding pass, and now it's time for one of the most serious parts of any airport journey, security check and immigration.
Yes, this part can feel stressful, especially for English learners, because the officers speak fast and ask serious questions. But don't worry, we'll teach you what to expect and what to say.
First comes the security check. This is where you put your bags through a scanner and walk through a metal detector.
Here are some common phrases you might hear. Please place your laptop in a separate tray. Take off your shoes and belt, please. Do you have any liquids or electronics? Step to the side for a manual check.
And here are some things you can say. Is this okay to bring in my carry-on? Do I need to remove my jacket? Sorry, I don't understand. Can you repeat that slowly? Please remove your laptop and place it in a separate bin.
Sure, here it is.
Any liquids in your bag?
Yes, just a small bottle of hand sanitizer.
That's fine. Please step through the scanner.
Okay, do I need to take off my shoes?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Quick, clear, and polite responses are always best. Even if you feel nervous, just listen carefully and answer calmly.
Now, after security, you'll often go through immigration, especially for international flights. An immigration officer will check your passport and ask a few questions.
Here are some common questions you might hear. What is the purpose of your visit? How long will you stay? Where will you stay during your trip? Are you traveling alone?
Let's do a quick role play. I'll be the immigration officer. Good morning. What's the purpose of your visit?
Good morning, I'm here on vacation.
Where will you be staying?
At a hotel in downtown London.
All right.
Notice how I gave short, honest answers. Immigration officers are trained to ask direct questions, and they expect simple, clear replies.
Exactly. Don't joke, don't overshare, just be honest and confident. If you don't understand a question, it's okay to say, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
At security, remember, do I need to take this out? Is this allowed in my carry-on? I don't understand, can you repeat that slowly?
At immigration, be ready to answer. What is the purpose of your visit? How long will you stay? Where will you be staying? Are you traveling alone?
And don't forget, smile, stay calm, and speak clearly.
All right. We're through security and immigration. Let's relax a little and figure out how to find our gate.
Yes, coming up next, how to ask for directions and help at the airport.
All right, we've made it through security and immigration. Nice job. But now we're standing in a big, busy airport. It's time to find our gate, or maybe a bathroom, a cafe, or even a charging station.
Airports can be confusing. That's why it's important to know how to ask for directions or help politely and clearly.
Exactly. So let's start with a few simple and useful phrases you can use. Excuse me, where is gate 14? Could you tell me how to get to the restroom? I'm looking for the international departures area. Can you help me find my gate?
All of those are polite and natural. And don't forget to start with, "Excuse me," that's a very kind way to get someone's attention.
Here's a tip. If someone gives you directions, but you don't understand, say, "Sorry, could you say that again more slowly?" Or "I'm not sure I understand. Could you point it out on the map?"
"Excuse me, could you help me? I'm looking for gate 27.
Sure, it's down this hallway, then take a left. You'll see signs for gate 2030.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great flight.
Now that was helpful and polite. And guess what? Most airport staff are used to helping travelers from all over the world. They're usually happy to assist.
That's right. And you might even need help from another traveler. In that case, you can say, "Hi, do you know where gate 15 is? Is this the right direction to baggage claim? I think I'm lost. Can you help me?"
Let's go over a few key words you might hear or see on signs. Departures, where people leave for flights. Arrivals, where people come in from flights. Gate, the area where you board your plane. Customs, the place where officers check your bags. Restroom, bathroom, and American English information desk, a place to ask questions.
If you forget the word for something, just describe it. For example, where can I charge my phone? Is there a place to get coffee near here?
Exactly. You don't need perfect grammar, just confidence and kindness.
Here's a quick recap. 1. Start with, "Excuse me." 2. Use polite questions like, "Could you tell me where is?" 3. Don't be afraid to ask again. "Could you repeat that, please?" 4. Use body language and maps if needed.
Airports can feel big and confusing, but a few friendly English phrases can take you a long way.
Coming up next, we've made it to our gate. Time to talk about boarding announcements and how to ask the right questions before getting on the plane.
Let's board that next section. We made it. We've arrived at the boarding gate. Now we just need to wait until it's time to board the plane.
That's right. But even at the gate, there's still some English you might need to understand or use, especially if there's a delay or a gate change.
Let's start with some typical announcements you might hear. Flight 623 to Dubai is now boarding at gate 15. This is the final boarding call for Flight 320 to New Delhi. There has been a gate change. Flight 118 will now depart from Gate 24. Flight 742 has been delayed due to weather conditions.
These announcements are often spoken quickly, so listen for your flight number, destination, and gate number.
If you're unsure or miss something, go to the desk at the gate and say, "Excuse me, is this the boarding gate for Flight 623? Has there been any delay for this flight? What time does boarding start? Hi. Is this the gate for Flight 742 to Frankfurt?"
Yes, boarding will begin in about 20 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a delay?
Nope, everything is on time.
Great. Thanks again.
That's a polite and confident way to check your flight status.
Also, you might hear boarding instructions like, "Now boarding Group A. Passengers with children may board first. Please have your passport and boarding pass ready."
And that's your signal to get in line.
Key phrases to know. Is this the gate for flight? Has boarding started? Is there a delay? What time does the flight leave?
And always listen for your flight number and boarding group.
Coming up next, we're finally on the plane. Let's talk about speaking English with flight attendants and fellow passengers.
Buckle up, the journey continues. All right, we've passed the gate, scanned our boarding pass, And now we're stepping into the plane. Welcome aboard.
It's time to talk about how to speak English on the airplane, especially with flight attendants or the person sitting next to you.
Let's start with talking to flight attendants. These are the crew members who help you during the flight. You may want to ask for food drinks or help with your seat.
Here are some polite and common phrases. Excuse me, may I have some water? Could I get a blanket, please? How long is the flight? Is there a vegetarian option? My screen isn't working.
And flight attendants often say things like, "Would you like chicken or pasta? Please fasten your seatbelt. Would you like something to drink? We'll be landing in about 30 minutes.
Excuse me, could I have a glass of water?
Of course. Would you like ice with that?
No, thank you.
Here you go. Let me know if you need anything else."
Thanks so much. Now let's talk about seatmates, the person sitting next to you. You don't have to talk, but sometimes a small conversation is nice.
If you want to start a conversation, try hi. Is this your first time flying? Where are you headed? Are you traveling for business or vacation? I'm a little nervous about flying. This can be a good way to connect.
And if you need to leave your seat, you can say, "Excuse me, may I get past you? Sorry, I need to use the restroom."
And if someone says that to you, it's polite to say, "Sure, no problem. Of course, go ahead."
Let's recap the key expressions. May I have some water? Could I get a pillow or blanket? Is there a vegetarian meal? Excuse me, may I get past you?
Being polite using please and thank you and speaking clearly goes a long way, especially in a small space, like an airplane.
Next up, we'll listen to some in-flight announcements and break down what they really mean.
Let's tune in and learn to understand fast airport English. Now that we're seated comfortably, let's talk about something many learners find difficult in flight announcements.
Yes, these announcements are important, but they can be hard to understand because they're often spoken quickly and with background noise.
That's why we're going to slow things down and help you understand what's usually said and what it really means.
Here's one you'll definitely hear before takeoff. Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts and ensure your seat backs and tray tables are in the upright position.
That means buckle your seatbelt and make sure your seat and tray are straight.
Here's another common one during the flight. We will be coming through the cabin with food and beverage service. Please have your tray tables down.
Translation: get ready to eat or drink. Lower the little table in front of you.
And before landing, you might hear, "We'll be landing shortly. Please return to your seat and fasten your seatbelt."
That means sit down and buckle up, we're about to land.
Let's break down some of the vocabulary you'll hear. Cabin, the area inside the airplane where passengers sit. Tray table, the small table that folds out from your seat. Seat back, the back of your seat. Fasten, to secure or tighten like your seatbelt. Upright position, sitting up straight, not leaning back. Landing shortly, the plane is going to land soon.
If you hear these words, now you'll know what to do. Fasten your seatbelt. Buckle up. Prepare for landing. Sit down and get ready. Food and beverage service. Time to eat or drink. Tray table in the upright position. Put the table away.
You don't need to understand every word. Just listen for the main idea and watch what other passengers are doing.
Coming up next, we've landed. Let's go through arrival immigration and baggage claim.
Almost done with our airport journey. Hang in there.
Welcome to your destination. The plane has landed, but the journey isn't over yet. Next up, arrival immigration and baggage claim.
That's right. Immigration is where officers check your passport again, and baggage claim is where you pick up your luggage.
At arrival immigration, you'll be asked some important questions. Here are some common ones. What is the purpose of your visit? How long will you be staying? Where will you be staying during your trip? Do you have anything to declare? Are you traveling alone?
Good answers are usually short and clear, like, I'm here for tourism. I will stay for 1 week. I'm staying at a hotel downtown. No, I don't have anything to declare. Yes, I'm traveling alone.
Good afternoon. What is the purpose of your visit?
Good afternoon. I'm here on vacation.
Where will you be staying?
At a hotel near the city center.
Thank you. Enjoy. After immigration, you'll head to baggage claim to collect your bags. Here you might see signs like Baggage Claim Carousel 5, the moving conveyor belt where your luggage appears.
If you need help, you can say, "Excuse me, where is baggage claim for flight 742? Is Carousel 3 for this flight? I can't find my suitcase. Can you help me?"
Remember these phrases for arrival. What is the purpose of your visit? I'm here on vacation business. Where will you be staying? Do you have anything to declare?
And for baggage claim, where is baggage claim? Which carousel is for my flight? I need help finding my luggage.
Great. You're almost through the airport. Up next, we'll have a fun airport English quiz to test what you've learned.
Stay tuned.
All right, Anna, it's quiz time. Let's see how well you and our listeners have learned the airport English phrases from today's episode.
I'm ready. Hit me with your first question, Brain.
Okay. Question 1. If you want to ask the taxi driver to take you to the airport, what's a simple and polite way to say it?
I'd say, "Hi, I'm going to the airport, please." Or maybe, "Can you take me to Terminal 2 at the airport?"
Perfect. That's exactly right. Question 2. At the check-in counter, what do you say when you want to give your luggage to the airline staff?
I'd say I have one bag to check, or I'm checking this suitcase.
Awesome. Very clear and correct. Last question. If you're lost and need help finding your gate, what polite phrase can you use?
I would say, "Excuse me, could you tell me where gate 14 is? Or can you help me find my gate?"
Spot on. Nice work, Anna. And listeners, if you answered all these correctly, give yourselves a big pat on the back.
Remember, practicing these phrases out loud will make you more confident when you travel.
Exactly. Try playing this quiz with your friends or language partners to test each other.
All right, Brain. What's next on our airport adventure?
We'll cover common mistakes learners make at the airport and how to fix them. All right, Anna, before we wrap up, let's talk about some common mistakes English learners make at the airport and how to avoid them.
Good idea. Making mistakes is normal, but knowing them helps us improve faster.
Many learners say 2 luggages or 3 luggages, but luggage is an uncountable noun, so we say 2 bags or 2 pieces of luggage.
That's right. So instead of "I have 2 luggages," say, "I have 2 bags to check."
Sometimes learners speak too directly like, "Give me boarding pass." Instead, it's much better to say, "Could I have my boarding pass, please?"
Yes, adding "please" and "thank you" makes a huge difference.
Both can and could are used to ask for permission, but could sounds more polite and formal. For example, "Could I have a window seat?" sounds better than "Can I have a window seat?"
That's a small change, but it makes you sound more fluent and polite.
When immigration officers ask questions, some learners answer with just yes or no. It's better to give a little more information. For example, Officer, what is the purpose of your visit? Good answer, I'm here for tourism, instead of just yes.
Right. Short, clear answers help avoid confusion.
Remember, politeness, clear answers, and correct vocabulary are your best tools.
Practice these and you'll feel confident at the airport in no time.
Coming up next, some power tips on how to practice your airport English every day. All right, Anna, now that we've covered a lot of useful airport English, let's talk about how our listeners can practice these phrases and feel confident when traveling.
Yes, practice is key. Here are some power tips to help you improve your airport English every day.
Try to listen to real airport announcements on YouTube or apps. This helps you get used to the speed and vocabulary.
You can even watch travel vlogs or videos about airports. Listen carefully and repeat the phrases you hear.
Find a language partner and practice role-playing common airport situations like checking in or asking for directions.
If you don't have a partner, try recording yourself speaking. Listen back and notice how you can improve your pronunciation and fluency.
Make flashcards of important airport words and phrases. Review them daily to build your confidence.
There are also apps that help with vocabulary learning. You can use those on the go.
Don't be shy. Practice speaking out loud as much as possible, even if it's just talking to yourself at home.
Remember, the more you practice, the easier it will be when you're actually at the airport.
Great advice, Anna. Practice a little every day, and you'll see big improvements.
That's right, and don't forget to review this episode before your next trip.
Up next, we'll do a quick recap and give our listeners a simple action task.
Let's keep the momentum going!
All right, Anna, let's quickly recap what we learned today about speaking English at the airport.
Sure. We started from getting to the airport with a taxi, then checked in. Our bags went through security and immigration, asked for directions, waited at the boarding gate, and finally talked inside the airplane.
We also practiced important phrases for each step, learned some common mistakes to avoid, and shared power tips to help our listeners practice every day.
So here's a simple action task for our listeners. Practice 3 phrases from today's episode out loud. You can practice with a friend, record yourself, or even talk to your mirror.
That's right. Pick the phrases you find most useful and say them confidently. The more you practice, the better you'll get.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English learning podcasts like this one.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Safe travels, and see you next time on English Learning. That wraps up today's episode on speaking English at the airport. We hope you found it helpful and that you feel more confident for your next trip.
Absolutely. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use these phrases, the easier traveling will become.
Next time on English Learning Podcast, we'll dive into how to speak English in a restaurant. If you've ever felt nervous ordering food or asking for the bill, this episode will have you covered.
So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it.
Thanks for joining us, and safe travels. See you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.